has subsided, or should I say the drizzles, has subsided here on Capitol Hill. We're live on the grounds of the Temple of Justice, where there are landmark cases ongoing right now. One of such is the sentencing hearing involving the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, Councillor Gloria Scott, and 3 others. At the same time, the Supreme Court is going to entertain arguments, is going to hear arguments from the Unity Party and that of the Liberian Senate. That is another argument that will be heard by the Supreme Court of Liberia today. As you can see, senators have been arriving. But before all of that, kindly let us know the quality of the audio. Please let us know the quality of the audio by giving us your feedback, so that we can, if there is a need for any sort of technical tweaking, that can be done by our technical guys as well. So please let us know the quality of the audio by so that if the audio is good, we can proceed we can do that as well. So leave a comment, let us know the quality of and you need to test and make sure that you have the best sound quality, the optimal sound quality as well. So please let us know the quality of the audio by just leaving a comment or two, whether the audio is good, whether the audio is bad, whether the audio is not so good, whether the audio quality is poor. Just leave a comment, please do that, and we'll continue this live broadcast based on the feedbacks that we do get from you. So once the sound quality is good, please let us know, leave a comment. Our technical guys are nodding in approval that the audio quality is good. My name is Diamond Slanger. I'm here with the entire production team. We're here on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. This is the Justice Center in Liberia. So ongoing in Criminal Court A is the sentencing procedure, the sentencing hearing involving the former Chief Justice, Councillor Gloria Scott, and 3 others from her family who were indicted earlier this year, brought to court. They were denied bail. In August, the trial began, and they were found guilty by 11 of 12 of the jurors who were selected to render their judgment, their verdict, having heard the legal arguments and evidence produced or adduced by both sides. Last week, Tuesday, the sentencing hearing was to be held here at Criminal Court A, but because the probation office of the Ministry of Justice did not show up, in fact, the probation office, when they were questioned by the judge, said they didn't have transportation to go into the community and do their investigation to advise the judge on what the sentencing guidelines should be. Well, the former Chief Justice and 3 others were found guilty on 3 counts. Count 1, murder. Count 2, criminal conspiracy. And count 3, making false statements to law enforcement officials. Today, that sentencing hearing is ongoing in Criminal Court A, and at the Supreme Court of Liberia, as you can see, senators are arriving. Another landmark case. 2024 has begun with a bang. The Unity Party, by and through its chairman and Secretary General, did file a writ of prohibition against the Senate in terms of the confirmation hearing to be held, to be done for Justice, that's Associate Justice Designate Musa Dean, who is the current Justice Minister and Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia. The Supreme Court then issued a writ of prohibition, and that stopped for a while, temporarily halted the Senate's planned confirmation hearing of the Associate Justice nominee, that is Councillor Frank Musa Dean. Order stems from the President's December 26th letter of nomination, where he named his Justice Minister as Associate Justice Designate to replace the outgoing that's Associate Justice Joseph Nangwe, who requested for early retirement. With just a couple of days to the peaceful handover of power in this country, the Unity Party ran to the Supreme Court, and today that proceeding will begin. It's slated to start at 11 a.m. It's 12 minutes past 11. We have our guys in the Supreme Court chamber. They will be giving us updates as well. So we'll be feeding you updates from Criminal Court A, as well as updates from the Honorable Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. Now, procedure is going to be put on the stand today. Whether or not the procedure was followed, by the president when he nominated Councillor Frank Musa Dane, whether or not, the Senate did follow the procedure as per what the Unity Party is alleging, whether or not the appointment of Councillor or the nomination of Councillor Frank Musa Dane fits in the bid of an emergency. What are the remedies provided? Is it an emergency in appointing an associate justice? What constitutes an emergency as well? We'll be hearing articles being quoted from the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, as well as the Senate's procedure laws and all of these things, the Senate rules and all of that. But at the end of the day, what is going to come out of the arguments being listened to by the Supreme Court of Liberia today? Are they going to render an opinion which is far likely to happen today? If so, what their opinion will be? Remember, the 54th legislature gets dissolved today, and what we're hearing from highly placed sources, including senators and representatives, is that the 54th is not going to go for an extension. That if you're hearing any sort of news about there might be an extension to carry out the confirmation hearing of Councillor Frank Musa Dane and that of Samora Pizza Wolokoli, who was nominated as the LRA Commissioner General, all of these will be playing out. But the LRA's own appointment is not an issue here today at the Supreme Court of Liberia. It's all about the Unity Party versus the Liberian Senate, by and through its president, the vice president of the Republic of Liberia, the Senate pro tempore, and every other senator involved. So we did see Councillor Senator Joseph Jala making his way. We did see one of the lawyers of the Unity Party in Councillor Cooper Kura to the Supreme Court of Liberia. But let's go for more updates from Criminal Court A. And as I said, we'll be bringing you updates from the Supreme Court and that of Criminal Court A. So let's move now to what's unfolding there in Criminal Court A. Please be giving us your feedbacks in real time as of the sound quality, so that our technical guys can always work on it when there is a shift in the sound quality, so that we do not, bring you poor audio quality today. Well, so from our source within Criminal Court A, all the legal teams on both sides are present, 6 persons each, and you have Councillor Scott and her family, the 3 other accused, or the 3 other defendants who were found guilty on the 21st of December. They are seated in court. We witnessed their arrival as well this morning. All 4 females, including Councillor Gloria Musu Scott, Alice Johnson, Rebecca Uda Wisner, and Gertrude Newton. They all entered Criminal Court A at about 9:30 a.m. this morning. There isn't so much of a heavy police presence as we did witness on last week Tuesday. Jurassic is going to pan the camera. You see that the police officers that are brought here today are more like in a laid-back position. They're relaxing, sitting, as compared to last week Tuesday, where we had this entire area here. The main entrance leading to the courts and other offices. This place, you had police officers, correctional officers on both sides of the corridor, making sure they provided a protective barrier. But as compared to today, well, they're here, not in very large number. The contingent is small, and they're not standing holding riot barriers and riot shields and all of these things as of now. It's peaceful here, and earlier this morning we did get drizzles of rain. But all of what the attention will be on is at the top there, where you see the Liberian flag is flying high, because there is an argument currently ongoing before the Honorable Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. So just to give you more updates on yesterday, the 8th of January, the Unity Party, by and through its chairman and their legal team, also did file a motion for recuser, asking the Chief Justice, Her Honor Justice Siane Ayo, to recuse herself from the bench today. Whether or not the Chief Justice will recuse herself, we're yet to find out. We'll be giving you updates from the Supreme Court, but this is the document from the Unity Party asking the Chief Justice to recuse herself. This was received around 3:06 p.m. yesterday, the 8th day of January 2024, and is before the Honorable Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia, sitting its October term, AD 2023, before Her Honor Siane Ayo, Chief Justice, before Her Honor James Ethel Howard Wolokoli, Associate Justice, before His Honor Joseph Nangbe, Associate Justice, before His Honor Yusuf D. Kaba, Associate Justice, and before His Honor Yami Kwekwe Wese, Senior Associate Justice. The United Party, by and through its National Chairman, Reverend Luther J. Tape, National Secretary General Amos Twe, and all other officials of the United Party of the City of Monrovia, Republic of Liberia, they are the movement. Motion for recuser versus Her Honor Siane Ayo, that's Siane Ayo, Siane G.U., Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, Temple of Justice, first respondent, and the Liberian Senate, by and through its president, Jua Howard Taylor, and President Pro Tempore Albert Tichie, and the entire leadership of the Liberian Senate, Monrovia, Liberia, second respondent, Frank Musa Dean, Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Republic of Liberia, and under his authority is the third respondent. So just to go through what they're saying, this is growing out of the case. The Unity Party, by and through its National Chairman, Reverend J. Luther Tape, National Secretary General Amos Twe, and all other officials, petitioner versus the Liberian Senate, by and through its President Jua Howard Taylor, Senate Pro Tempore, and all other senators, petition for the rate of prohibition. So this is what this motion of recusal is growing out of this case for a rate of prohibition. Now, the movement's motion, they're saying that now comes movement in the above entitled cause for the action of most respectfully moves for the recuser of Her Honor Siane G.U., Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, first respondent herein from presiding over and participating in the determination of the petition for a rate of prohibition for the legal and factual reasons, showeth the following to wit. 1. That on the 21st of December 2023, His Honor Joseph Nangbe, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia, wrote a communication to Her Honor Siane G.U. informing Her Honor that the Associate Justice Joseph Nangbe has been out of the bailiwick of the Republic of Liberia for 8 months. Yet it come down on December 26th, the President of the Republic of Liberia, George M. Weah Sr., wrote a letter to Honorable Albert Tichie, President Pro Tempore of the Liberian Senate, submitting the name of Councillor Frank Musa Dean as nominee for the in the judicial branch of government for confirmation consideration by the Liberian Senate. Your Honor are requested to take judicial notice of this case filed in substantiation of the averment contained herein, that on the 27th of December 2023, first respondent Her Honor Siane G.U. wrote a letter to the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Dr. George Manawita, and here in the contents of the letter, where the Chief Justice did acknowledge that there is a vacancy on the Supreme Court bench. So the United Party, which is the movement, they're saying that once the Chief Justice has written a letter to the President and thereby confirming that there is a vacancy, by and through that letter, she has taken aside that she acknowledges that there is a vacancy on the Supreme Court bench, and because of that, she cannot preside over the hearing of the petition today, because she has taken aside by writing that letter to the President. So the United Party, by and through its chairman and its legal counsel, they're saying that the Chief Justice, to a larger extent, is compromised by taking a stance or taking a side. So for that reason, she should recuse herself from hearing of the petition today, hearing of the argument and all that. She shouldn't preside over. She should recuse herself. That is the document that I was reading, and I'm just paraphrasing what there is in within that particular document. So we want to go back to Criminal Code A and hear from our source what's unfolding in that court. Remember to kindly keep letting us know the quality of the audio. Please let us know the quality of the audio so that we can continue to bring you updates as well. So we'll also be speaking to our reporter at the grounds of the Senate. Just on my right shoulder is the Capitol building, where there is still a sustained protest that is ongoing by staffers of the Liberian Senate. So the same way you check the audio, Ernest, audio is good. All right, so please check your device as well. Our producers are saying the audio quality is good, so please do check your device, and our guys in the background are definitely listening in. And if the audio has got an issue, they will definitely sort that out, but we encourage your feedback as well. So the prosecution has taken stand there in Criminal Court A. That is the case involving the former Chief Justice, Councilor Gloria Musukat, and 3 co-defendants. Remember, they were found guilty on the 21st of December 2023 on all 3 counts: murder, criminal conspiracy, and making false statements to law enforcement officials. So what is happening now is the sentencing procedure, the sentencing hearing that is ongoing in Criminal Court A. According to our source within Criminal Court A, the prosecution has taken to the floor to argue why they want the maximum sentence for all 4 defendants. So remember, murder is 25 to life here in Liberia. The prosecution is vying, they're requesting the full length of the sentence for murder as well. So they're making their case to His Honor, Judge Roosevelt Willie, as to why, they should get the full 9 years of life sentence given to 4 defendants there in that court on the count of murder. So our source will keep sending us information, and we'll also keep you updated as to what is unfolding within the Supreme Court of Liberia. So we will be crisscrossing between both courtrooms, from the lower court of Criminal Court A to the highest court in our land, the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. So the appointment, that is the nomination of Councillor Frank Musadin, did raise a lot of eyebrows, especially when it comes to the question of expediency. What is the rush? Is there an emergency? Justice Nangwe has been out of the country, according to his own communication, for 8 months, and it has not hampered the efficiency of the Supreme Court of Liberia, that it has, been able to function fully without the Associate Justice being in country and weighing in with his own legal opinions. Again, according to the Constitution, and I'll get the article for you, if there is an emergency and the Supreme Court needs to make a decision to render down an opinion, and there is a need for the full bench of the Supreme Court of Liberia, there is, a provision within our Constitution where the President can appoint a judge of the lower court as still standing to become an ad hoc judge to the Supreme Court of Liberia to hear and render an opinion if the full bench is needed. The United Party is arguing that if this is an emergency, then there is only one way that an emergency can be solved. But if this is an emergency and you have other means of solving that emergency, how is it so important that the president, the outgoing president, should be nominating an associate justice to the Supreme Court bench? Constitutionally, the president has got all of the rights to do so. He's still president until 11:59 a.m. on the 22nd of January 2024. He's got the powers to do so. The Unity Party is also arguing that there is procedural error as well that was done, because they're arguing that if the United Party is also arguing that indeed if the Senate has got the constitutional right. It's within their constitutional powers to confirm. They're not arguing whether or not the Senate has got the constitutional power to confirm. They're saying that there were procedural errors within the recalling of the Senate for their special sitting, their special session by the president, that according to law, the president should have listed, and he did list the reasons for conveying the special sitting of the Senate. And in those reasons, there wasn't the confirmation hearing of Councillor Frank Musa Dean and that of the LRA Commissioner General Designate Samora Wolokoli. So they're also arguing that if that was to be placed in the agenda for the emergency sitting or the extended sitting of the Senate, the president should have communicated that as well. So it's about procedure, it's about whether it's an emergency or not, and it's not much more about whether or not the Senate has got the power to confirm. That is undeniable. We cannot deny that the Senate has got the power to confirm, but the court can go through processes to see if due process of another branch of government was adhered to. Remember in 2014, the now boss of the GSA, Madam Mirabro, at one point in time went and removed Madam Grace Pan, who was the superintendent of Monrovia County at the time, from the gates of the Monrovia Central Prison, what we call South Beach here, when she was held in contempt by the House of Representatives, and she was taken to South Beach to serve 3 days in prison for contempt, and Madam Bro, snatched her away. The legislature then, out of anger, without following the procedures, handed down a 30 days prison sentence for Madam Bro. She ran to the Supreme Court. The senators and representatives, they run to the Supreme Court to say that, look, yes, it's within our power to hold her for contempt. The court informed them that, yes, it is within your powers, but you didn't follow the procedure. You didn't give her due process, and by so, your action was null and void. So the Unity Party is also wanting to test the water to say, look, the procedure wasn't followed, and hence everything else is the fruit of the poisonous tree. It cannot bear weight. It is null or void. We'll be bringing you updates, as I said, from both Criminal Court A and that of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. We did see Councillor Cooper Crack, who is one of the lawyers representing the Unity Party in this petition hearing. We did see Councillor Senator Joseph Jala of Lofa County. He's a member of the Senate Judicial Committee. We've not seen Councillor Vani Sherman, who is the head of the Senate Judicial Committee. We've not seen him here. We'll be bringing you updates as to who are the representations of both the Senate and that of the Unity Party. So far, we've not seen the Associate Justice Designate, Councillor Frank Musa Dean. We've not seen him make his way here to the Supreme Court of Liberia, or probably we missed him when he had earlier entered. But since we've been here, we've not seen the Justice Minister, who is the Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia, and subsequently the Associate Justice Designate. The reason for why we're here, we've not seen Councillor Frank Musa Dean as of this moment. Whether or not there will be a confirmation hearing, that is a question that is subjected to the answer that you provide. The 54th legislature gets dissolved today. Whether there will be an extension, senators on Capitol Hill have hinted to us that they don't see an extension happening. And if the confirmation hearing cannot be done today, well, the Justice Minister and as well as the Deputy Finance Minister can well kiss their appointments goodbye. Let's see if we can bring you more updates from Criminal Court A. All right. So now, the Councillor Fire, who's one of the defense counsel, is arguing before the judge that one of the defendants is a teenager and therefore she cannot be charged along with the adults. Councillor Cisse, on the other hand, argues that there is no law that supports what Councillor Fire is arguing. The Monrovia County Attorney, Councillor Cisse, is arguing that she committed a crime as an adult and she was charged as an adult as well. So I'll take a breather a bit to get you more updates. We'll keep showing you around the grounds of the Temple of Justice as we bring you updates. Two separate major hearings happening today. One at Criminal Court A and another at the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. We did see the former vice standard bearer of the CPP, Councillor Charlene Bromsky. She arrived here on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. She's a lawyer, so probably for one reason or another, she's here. We also did see the former Solicitor General of the Republic of Liberia, Councillor Serena Sifas. He also arrived as well. That vehicle with the door just open is that belonging to Councillor Charlene Bromsky. There, all right. During election time, that was the vehicle that had on a fixture 2. Now the plate has been replaced with CMB1. All right, so campaign time over. Let's just get that one straight. Election over. We're just bringing you updates on that. So we'll keep bringing you updates as to what's unfolding in Criminal Code A, as well as what's unfolding at the Supreme Court of Liberia. The sentencing hearing of the former Chief Justice, Councillor Gloria Mususcat, and 3 other co-defendants is currently ongoing in Criminal Code A. Whether they will be sentenced today, that remains unanswered, or whether or not the judge is going to, announce a new date that they can come back to the court for sentencing. We will be bringing you all of what is happening, at the Criminal Court A, as well as the Temple of, that's the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia, I should say. More updates coming in. Share the live broadcast as well, please do. Please also keep letting us know that the quality of the audio, so that we can work on it. The arguments ongoing in court as the sentencing hearing is proceeding, and what is unfolding at the Supreme Court of Liberia, we'll be bringing you details as well. We'll be bringing you details as well. All right, folks, Spoon TV still live here on the grounds of the Temple of Justice, as we will be throughout the day, as long as these proceedings are ongoing and they're underway. We will be live, bringing you details, real-time information from both Criminal Court A and that of the Honorable Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. Before the Supreme Court is the petition for a rate of prohibition, prayed for by the Unity Party against the Liberian Senate, going through the appointment or the nomination of Councillor Frank Musadin to the position of Associate Justice on the bench of the Supreme Court of Liberia. So that is happening in the Supreme Court. Once the court starts entertaining arguments, we will bring you live updates from the Supreme Court of Liberia. What we're bringing you now, updates from Criminal Court A, here on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. That is the case involving the former Chief Justice, Councillor Gloria Mususcat, who at one point in time served as Senator of Maryland County, served as Justice Minister, and subsequently Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia. She was found guilty.
Okay, folks, so if you're following us, please comment on the sound, the quality of the sound. So Damo has been excused and he will be back in subsequent time. So we are at the ground of the Temple of Justice, and where our team have been placed within to give an update on what is unfolding within the courtroom. So there are two uh, major cases that we are here for. One have to do with the United Party and that of the legislature, to be precisely the House of Senate, on the confirmation hearing of Councillor Frank Musa Dean, that's the Justice Ministers, and also the sentences of Councillor Gloria Musa Scott and others. And these cases are going on here at the Temple of Justice. So Dama is back now, so I'm going to take charge to bring you more update on what is unfolding within the courtroom.
Thank you, Jurassic. We will be bringing you updates as rightly stated by Jurassic, and we'll be bringing updates from Criminal Court A as well as the Supreme Court of Liberia. So please keep letting us know the quality of the audio. We really want you to do that for us so that we keep working if there is a dip in the form, if the audio quality declines from being good to not so good. We will we will be working on it. That's why we need you to keep informing us of the audio quality. My name is Diamond Slanger. I'm here with Jurassic Prince, Joe, and Ernest Binder, Incredible Trunks, the award-winning Incredible Trunks for that matter. And we will be bringing you all of what's unfolding. Let's go back quickly to Criminal Court A. Yes. So the sentencing hearing is still going on involving the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, and the argument is still ongoing that one of the defendants is a teenager. That argument is being put up by the defense team, but the Monrovia County solicitor, Councillor Cisse, is arguing that if the defense counsel claims that one of the defendants is a juvenile, they should have pleaded to have her tried as a juvenile. But once she stood trial as an adult, she will be sentenced as an adult. And as once as the crime was committed and she was tried as an adult, she will definitely be sentenced as an adult. So Councillor Scott is agitated over the consistent and constant interruption of the Monrovia County attorney. According to our source, she's speaking out very loudly in court, and she's been called to order by the judge. That's what we're getting from Criminal Court A, that because the Monrovia County attorney is interrupting consistently the defense counsel, that has agitated Councillor Gloria Musu Scott, who at one point in time served as the highest judge in the Republic of Liberia. Now she's standing, as she has been standing for at least close to 6 months before another judge, and she was found guilty by 11 out of 12 of the jurors. So now the judge is reading the final sentencing, folks. The judge is reading the final sentencing. So we will be bringing you updates. This is the breaking news. How long the prison term of the former Chief Justice and 3 other co-defendants is going to be. The judge is reading the final sentencing. All this began on the 22nd of February to the 23rd, when the former Chief Justice Councillor Gloria Musu Scott had reported that her home was broken into by an unknown assailant, allegedly, and that led to the death of Chalo Musu, who was a prospective graduate from the Stars University College. Now, the counselor was then seen as the subject, she and her family were seen as the subject of sympathy, until everything turned and took a flip when they were named as persons of interest by the Liberian National Police. Subsequently, they were declared suspects, arrested in June, July, thereabout, and taken to the Monrovia Central Prison for pre-trial detention when they were denied bond by the Monrovia City Court, the subsequently Criminal Court A, where the case was transferred to a case proceeding that lasted from August up to December. They were found guilty by 11 out of 12 of the jurors on the 21st of December on the counts of murder, criminal conspiracy, and making false statements to law enforcement officials. The sentencing hearing was scheduled for last week, Tuesday. That didn't go on because the probation office did not did not make available their report, their pre-sentencing report as well. That has been done today. On last week, the probation office said they didn't have transportation. They didn't have a means of transportation to go around. The judge is now reading the final judgment, after which he will proceed with the sentencing. The judge who's presiding over this sentencing and has presided over the entire case, listening because it was a jury trial, is Judge Roosevelt Willie of Criminal Court A. So he's reading the final judgment and then he will proceed with this sentencing. How many years behind bars will the former jailer be sentenced to jail for? This in itself is a landmark case in our country. Another landmark proceeding is ongoing at the Supreme Court of Liberia. Judge Roosevelt Willie is reading the final judgment. Remember, the jury rendered a guilty verdict on all three counts on December 21. So the judge is reading the final judgment and then will read out the sentence. Now, the defense tried to save the youngest of the three defendants by saying she is a juvenile, she is a teenager. The prosecution argued that indeed, if the defense team did view her as a teenager, they should have separated her trial and tried her as a juvenile. But for the fact that she stood trial as an adult along with the three other co-defendants, she will be sentenced as an adult. And when the crime occurred, she acted as an adult according to the prosecution. Guilty, yes, they have been found guilty. So this is not the question of guilty or not guilty. The question is, what would their sentences be? 25 to life for each of them? When will they be eligible for parole? Or life sentences for all four of them? That is the question. Is justice going to be tempered with mercy, or is justice going to be blind and turn a blind eye on the age of one of the defendants and say, look, the person who the four of you killed according to the law was also full of life, very youthful, and had her whole life snatched away from her by the four of you. This is not the question of who's guilty or who's not. The jury has rendered their verdict, though the defense have said they will be taking an appeal to the Supreme Court of Liberia until that appeal is perfected and taken advantage of. The four of them are guilty of murder, according to the jurors. So we're waiting on updates. Please also keep letting us know the quality of the audio as we proceed. Stick with Spoon Network. That is why we are undeniable Liberia's #1. We put you on the spot as the news is unfolding, as it's happening. We are there to bring you untainted, uninterrupted, real-time news. So what is happening in Criminal Court A is the reading of the final judgment and then the handing down of the sentence for the four defendants in the death of Chalo Musu. So we're waiting on more updates. The judge is reading, and you know it takes some time to read everything out, the merits, the demerits, the arguments, and everything subsequently, the verdict that was handed down, and then we move to sentencing. So when the judge is about to read the sentencing, all four defendants will have to rise, they'll have to stand and listen to the amount of years they'll be sent behind bars for the Musu family and for the Scott family. This is not a moment they'll want to witness. But as they've been going through since February of 2023, this is another moment to reckon with. Next month, the 22nd, will make it a year since Chalo Musu was gruesomely murdered in the Monrovia residence of the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia. According to evidence provided, according to arguments, the prosecution were successful to have convinced a jury of 12 men that indeed those whom they brought before the court were guilty of the charges for which they were levied against them. So we're waiting to see. We'll still be bringing you updates. The final reading is still ongoing, and once this sentence has been pronounced, we will be relaying that information to you as well. As the judge reads out his sentence for the four defendants, the courtroom, I'm sure, will erupt with shouts and wailings and the rest. For some, they will see it as justice served. Monrovia County Senator Abraham Darius Dillon has just arrived. He's making his way to the Supreme Court of Liberia to form part of the process there, the petition hearing of the rate of prohibition filed and prayed for by the Unity Party against the Liberian Senate in the case involving the confirmation proceeding, the confirmation hearing of Associate Justice Designate Councilor Frank Musa Dane. So I step back again. That's how we'll be doing it. Step back and forth for a minute or two to get you more updates. And once we do have, step back in front of the camera to provide those updates to you. Seek and stay, don't go away. Share this live podcast. We'll also be live on the radio as well for all of our listeners across Liberia to listen in, not just the online viewers, but all across Liberia, those who listen to the Spoon Network, to listen in as to what is unfolding here on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. So I step aside for a bit to get more updates from Criminal Court A and that of the Supreme Court of Liberia to bring you those updates.
All right. So we are still here. So uh, Honorable Darius DeLon just walked in to listen to the court proceeding here at the Temple of Justice, and as you can see, the president of police are here, but not as heavy as it was during the previous case regarding Councilor Gloria Musu's cult. Uh, as you can see, they are all relaxed and having friendly conversations. So, like the previous ones, they were all here in the corridor, heavily with arms and gear, all gathered here when the trial was ongoing. But as for today, they are all relaxed and waiting for the final mandate to be made so that they can walk out of here with Councilor Gloria Moses Scott and others. So we are still here. As you can see, the corridors, a lot of people have come to witness this case today, and our reporters are in there feeding us with information regarding the case. We have two cases here today: Councilor Gloria Moses Scott and others sentences today, and that of the Justice Minister confirmation hearing here today at the Supreme Court. So that criminal court 8 and that of the Supreme Court. So the both courts are busy right now, and we are here to fill you with that information. What's happening in what is unfolding at the Supreme Court and that of the criminal court 8. So we have reporters that are stuck within these courts to provide informations on what is happening. So previously, you heard the United Party wrote a letter to the Supreme Court asking for the Chief Justice to excuse herself from this case. So she stay at the back instead of interfering into this case. So we are here to see what would be the funded judgment today on both cases, that of Councillor Gloria Moses Scott and the chief, uh, that's the Minister of Justice, Councillor Frank Musa Dane, hearing on the Supreme Court bench. So we are here to figure out more informations, and all of the informations are fresh information from within. So whatever that is happening within, we have reporters there that are feeding us with those information. So keep sharing the live podcast, keep inviting people to come and watch this live podcast. As Spoon will bring you fresh information, will bring you untainted information. So we dish out the best information in Liberia. We remain supreme, we remain the best in terms of giving you information. So we are here, as you can see, the ground of the Temple of Justice is actually getting crowded with a lot of people who have come to witness Minde Councillor Gloria Moses Scott sentences today. So we are here. Damo is here, and Bena is also here to help us with the production aspect. And I'm Jarazi is a Prince Joe. I'm the production head here and on ground to give you the best quality of production at the Temple of Justice. So keep following Spoon as we bring you all of the information regarding those cases here at the Temple of Justice. So Damo asks for an excuse and he will be back within a minute to fill you up with more updates from what is happening within the courtroom. So the like of Tyrus Dillons or senators just joined and they walk in at the Supreme Court to witness the hearing of the case regarding the Justice Minister, Councillor Frank Musa Dane. So we are here up to the time they're going to be wrapping up. We'll remain on. We'll continue to provide you informations and every bit and pieces of what will be happening here today. So keep following us, keep sharing our live podcast as we bring you major happenings here at the Temple of Justice.
Thank you so much, Charasi Joe. We will be alternating the microphone as we try and get you more updates. That's the essence of being here, to provide you real time information as it unfolds in both Criminal Court A and that of the Supreme Court of Liberia. Jurassic will be taking over the microphone as I go to fishing for more updates to provide to you. That's the essence, that's the reason the Spoon OB crew is here on the grounds of the Temple of Justice. Earlier, you witnessed the arrival of Senator Abraham Darius Delon of Monrovia County. He's here to also be at the Supreme Court of Liberia as the Supreme Court is entertaining arguments for the rate of probation. That is the case involving the incoming Unity Party, that's the incoming ruling Unity Party, vying through its chairman, Reverend Luther Thape, and its Secretary General Amos Twe, versus the Liberian Senate vying through its president, the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Jua Howard Taylor, the Senate Pro Tempore, Albert Che, and all other senators, and Councillor Frank Musa Dean as well. The Unity Party on yesterday did file a motion of recusal, asking the Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, Justice Sianen G. Yo, to recuse herself from the hearing today, from presiding over the hearing today, because of the letter she did write, stating that indeed there is a vacancy at the Supreme Court according to the United Party. With such a letter written by the Chief Justice, she has taken a side and she's a party to this case. Hence, she cannot preside over the case, or she cannot form part of listening to the arguments on today. So we want to keep it that way. We'll be providing you updates in Criminal Court A. The judge, His Honor Judge Roosevelt Willie, is still reading his final judgment and will subsequently read out and hand down the sentences for all 4 defendants in the Chalo Musu murder trial that also did see the trial and the charge of criminal conspiracy and making false statements to law enforcement officials also embedded in this case. All 4 defendants were found guilty on all 3 counts, and this morning the defense counsel tried to argue for the youngest of all 4 defendants that she is a teenager, she is a juvenile, and as such she shouldn't be sentenced as an adult. The prosecution, through the Monrovia County Attorney, Councilor Cisse, argued that if the defense had wanted to have the youngest defendant tried as a juvenile or as a teenager, they should have asked for a severance trial to have a trial separate from the 3 other adults. Since that wasn't taken advantage of and she was found guilty like the 3 others, she will be sentenced as an adult. We're looking at 25 to life here. Will the judge give them concurrent sentences, concurrent years to serve, or how is he going to proceed with the sentencing? Liberians home and abroad are interested in hearing what would the sentences be for Councillor Gloria Mususcat, Alice Johnson, Gertrude Newton, and Rebecca Ude Wisner. They've all been found guilty of the count of murder, Chalo Musu. They've been found guilty on the count of criminal conspiracy. They've been found guilty on the count of making false statements to law enforcement officials. So once they were found guilty of the count of murder, which is the highest of all the 3 charges, definitely they were found guilty of conspiring, because if they didn't conspire criminally to have killed Chalo Musu, then the count of or the charge of criminal conspiracy wouldn't have been brought or levied against them. Again, the jurors did find them guilty of making false statements to law enforcement officials, stating that accounts that they gave as to what unfolded in that house on that fateful night of February 22nd, 2023, there were fake accounts given by the former Chief Justice and the 3 other co-defendants. At the Supreme Court of Liberia, the petition hearing is definitely going to get underway. And once it is, we will be bringing you updates who the representations are for both the movements and the defendants, as well as what will be the position of the Chief Justice, Justice Sianen Yo, whether or not she is going to address the Unity Party's motion for recusal. If she's going to recuse herself from the bench, will recuse herself from entertaining or listening or presiding over the arguments today, or whether or not she'll state reasons as to why she cannot recuse herself from the bench of the Supreme Court. The Unity Party is arguing that the president's nomination of Councillor Frank Musa Dean does not qualify as an emergency, that there are other remedies provided by law, that if there is a need for the full bench to be conveyed, the president in his power can appoint an ad hoc judge to the bench of the Supreme Court. They're arguing that Justice Nangbe has been rendered incapacitated for 8 months, and the Supreme Court has been functioning fully. What will a couple of weeks do to the Supreme Court that it didn't do over 8 months? They're also arguing that procedure wasn't followed when the president recalled the Senate to a special sitting, when he recalled the legislature to an emergency sitting. When the agenda was provided, there wasn't an agenda for the confirmation hearing of Associate Justice nominee Frank Musa Dean. They're not arguing that the Senate does not have the statutory power as provided by the Constitution to carry out confirmation hearings. They're saying procedurally there were errors, and hence once there were errors and they can establish errors, then it's a fruit of the poisonous tree. And once it's null or void, it cannot be legal. So all eyes on the Supreme Court. eyes as well on Criminal Court A. So today we're serving you left, right, from the lower court to the highest of courts in the Republic of Liberia. Two major cases. What will be the sentence handed down to Councillor Musu Scott and the three other co-defendants? That is the question. So during the entirety of the trial, the prosecution provided 14 regular witnesses, 2 subpoena witnesses, and 3 rebuttal witnesses. And talking about those who took to the witness stands during the trial of the former Chief Justice and the 3 other co-defendants, the defense did provide Dr. Matthew Okoye, a 42-year veteran in the field of pathology. He's also a learned counselor. He has given expert opinion, being made an expert witness on so many high-profile cases. He conducted a separate autopsy report, and as per his findings, said that the object that was used to have stabbed and killed Chalo Musu wasn't a knife. Rather, she died from blunt force trauma from an object on the head. Well, all that is water under the bridge. It's just a recap that we're giving you as to how this trial proceeded. Remember, Councillor Scott took to the witness stands as well herself for the subpoena witnesses that were provided. Subpoena witnesses are those who were compelled, ordered by the court to appear and provide witness testimonies. Valley Teller's wife was a subpoena witness. Valley Teller himself was subpoenaed. Jefferson Koji, the mayor of Monrovia, was subpoenaed, as well as Orange and Lone Star GSM companies were subpoenaed. They provided the phone log as well. Genesis Security was subpoenaed. The government of Liberia provided as a rebuttal witness Dr. Benedict Coley. He conducted the first autopsy as well. He said that Chalo died from excessive loss of blood. The defense also did provide an expert witness aside Dr. Matthew Okoye. They provided the former deputy director for NSA, Colonel Nathaniel Hodge, who himself has got under his belt 40 years of experience in law enforcement. He said the house, the compound, did provide a lot of vulnerabilities and a lot of optional routes for assailants to use to enter. But all of that didn't convince the jurors, and they were bent. 11 out of 12 of the jurors rendered or handed down a guilty verdict on all 3 counts. According to jurors, they did visit the scene on 2 occasions, and they did see a trail of blood leading from the room of Chalo and Alice Johnson to the bathroom. They did see, a black bottom knife that was allegedly or reportedly the murder weapon, and they did see how fortified the compound and the inside of the house was or is, and they came with their own layman, reasonable man understanding that, look, with all of these present, an assailant or somebody from outside, how did this person make their way into the home? How did this person commit the murder? According to jurors, according to the testimonies, one of the defendants said she retrieved the knife from the assailant, and the assailant then, forcibly collected the knife back from her and continued stabbing the late Chalo Musu 9 times. According to the jurors, all of that just didn't sit right and didn't make sense, and it informed their judgment of handing down a guilty verdict on all 4 of the defendants. The judge is still reading the final judgment. 19 witnesses were provided in total by the prosecution. We will be bringing you up this, recapping of this entire trial as it unfolded since August, since they were arrested in late June, early July. Everything that's happened, this phone network has been here providing all of that to you. The question is, how many years? What will the sentence be for the former Chief Justice as well as the 3 other co-defendants, Alice Johnson, Old Lady Rebecca Yuda Wixner, and Gertrude Newton? How divided will the country be once the sentence is read? And what will be the reaction as well from those within and around the Temple of Justice, as well as the ripple effects all across Liberia, including Maryland County, where the former Chief Justice served as senator of that county? Reports coming in The defense team also provided 6 regular witnesses, 5 subpoena witnesses, and making 11 witnesses provided by the defense team. So those 11 witnesses include Dr. Matthew Okoye and Mr. Nathaniel Hodge as well. Those two were expert witnesses provided by the defense. The defense had rested before the prosecution, and the prosecution did rest and called on the jury to read, to see, to listen, to also reason and come down with the verdict of guilty on all 3 counts. The jurors did listen, read, analyzed, and did render a guilty verdict. According to criminal procedure, they didn't find anything beyond reasonable doubt. They didn't find any speck of doubt. Rather, they were convinced beyond reasonable doubt, except for one juror to hand down the guilty verdict. 11-1 was the return from the jury deliberation room. As to what will be the sentence, we are waiting to get updates. So the total number of 30 witnesses were produced. The total number of 30 witnesses were produced by both the defense and prosecution. And within the 30 witnesses, you had subpoena witnesses as well. 5 subpoena witnesses, and that makes 25 between both the prosecution and the defense. A total of 30 witnesses were produced or adduced during this entire case. So we're waiting for the sentence that will be handed down by Judge Roosevelt Willie of Criminal Court A. What will be the sentence? How long will the sentence be? And what will be the conditions attached? These are pivotal questions. So now the reason it's taking a long time, the judge is reading all 30 witnesses' accounts. So this is not something that is going to happen within a minute or two. You're talking about reading the entire judgment of the case, witness by witness. So the judge is going to read the account of 30 witnesses before he comes down to the final judgment and then hands down the sentencing. So both the prosecution and the defense will have to be in the courtroom for this entire time, listening to all of what they've listened to over the period of 6 to 8 months. So this is going to take a very, very long time. But we don't mind. We're not pressed for time. We will be here making sure to bring you all of what is unfolding, not just from Criminal Court A, but also from the Supreme Court of Liberia upstairs, as it's referred to. And we've already been informed by the lawyers of Councillor Musu's staff and the 3 others that they will indeed be taking an appeal to the Supreme Court of Liberia. Once they reach that particular aspect of perfecting their appeal, we will be following the case from the Supreme Court. But what is the most important case as of now before the Supreme Court of Liberia is the confirmation of Councillor Frank Musadin. If that proceeding, if that process is going to happen today, it's got hours to happen. Because after the argument being entertained by the Supreme Court, opinions will be rendered, whether the prohibition will stay, if the Supreme Court determines that there were procedural errors, if the Supreme Court determines that, well, there's not so much of an emergency, there are remedies to kind of sort this problem out if the full bench is needed to convey, and there is a need for a judge to fill the seat of Justice Nangwe. What are the procedures provided by law? The president can appoint a judge to serve as an ad hoc judge if the full bench is needed to render an opinion, and Justice Nangwe is now out of the country. What do we do if this qualifies as an emergency? What are the procedures for the Senate to convey their extra sitting if it was followed to the letter, and that included the confirmation of Councillor Frank Musadin, the confirmation hearing of Councillor Frank Musadin and all of that? The Supreme Court is going to determine. Remember, the Supreme Court is not going to make a determination on whether or not the Senate has got the constitutional right to confirm or to carry out confirmation hearing. That is no argument. That is a no-brainer. That is a constitutional function of the Senate. But the question is, in carrying out this constitutional function, did you follow the requisite procedure as provided by law? That is what the Supreme Court is to interpret on today. So we are here. We've been joined by Chokon Flammer, an additional member to the team, trying to bring you more updates. So after the judge, His Honor Roosevelt Willie, reads the accounts from all 30 witnesses, he will then proceed with the final judgment and then sentencing. All right, folks, welcome back. Please do let us know the quality of the audio. Please do let us know the quality of the audio as you are watching. We just experienced a bit of technical glitch, so please let us know the quality of the audio as we reposition our camera's angle as well to show you directly the main entrance leading to criminal court A. The judge is still reading out the witness's account, so please let us know the quality of the audio by just leaving a comment. Bad, terrible, poor, whatever assessment it is of the audio, so that we continue providing you all of the necessary updates here from the grounds of the Temple of Justice on Capitol Hill. This is Liberia's government's, our installations. This is where you have the three branches of government just forming a triangle. So you have the executive just over my right shoulders towards the sea. You have the executive mansion there. You have the legislature, the first branch of government. Just straight ahead of me is that of the Capitol building, the annex, the Chinese wing, if you want to call it that. That is the ground of the Temple of the Capitol building, the seat of the legislature here in Liberia. And then right here is the seat of the judiciary. This is the Temple of Justice. As our camera pans and you see the flag is flying high, it's been hosted high. That is because the Supreme Court is in session. The full bench is listening to the merits and demerits of a writ of probation filed for by the Unity Party against the Honorable Liberian Senate, as well as Councillor Frank Musa Dean. This is all stemming from his nomination as Associate Justice to the bench of this Honorable Supreme Court. Whether or not he is going to get the opportunity to be confirmed today, the 54th legislature gets dissolved today. And the 55th is going to convey on the 15th of January, where then they will elect a speaker in the House of Representatives and a senator, a Senate pro tempore in the Honorable Liberian Senate. But all that is for next week. What is currently ongoing is whether or not Councillor Frank Musa Dean, the current Justice Minister and Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia, is going to get a confirmation hearing or not. Is the Unity Party going to argue that this has got procedural error, that this is not an emergency, that this wasn't on the agenda as sent by the president to the Senate for the extra sitting. And since that is the case, it cannot be considered. Whether or not Councillor Dean and the lawyers representing the Honorable House of Senate going to argue that, look, yes, it wasn't part of the agenda, but it qualifies as an emergency because we want the bench to be balanced. And the president, by sending a communication to the Senate pro tempore, that alone constitutes an addendum of the agenda, and that is going to squash the Unity Party's argument that there was a procedural error. Whether or not they're going to say, yes, it's an emergency, even though the president could nominate an ad hoc judge to the bench of the Supreme Court if there is a major case to be decided, if there is a very major opinion to be rendered by the Supreme Court and there is a need for the full bench, to be conveyed. Yes, the president could do that, but the president doesn't want to pass through all of those procedures. He just wants to make sure that the bench is in full representation. So there are so many questions to be answered, and I'm sure all of the lawyers representing both parties, that is the Unity Party as the petitioners and the Senate as the first respondent, Councillor Frank Musa Dean as second respondent, all of these guys have gone through their legal notes, because you don't bring different or new evidence to the Supreme Court. If this case had, like the Gloria Musu's case, if they go to the Supreme Court of Liberia, they are not going to, when they file an appeal, going to adduce new evidence. They are going to bring all of the evidence and all of the witnesses that were provided at the lower court for the Supreme Court to render an opinion. The only time there can be a reopening of the case, or there can be a mistrial or retrial court for it, whether there is new evidence provided to reopen the case from a different angle. But as it stands, though, they've not yet been sentenced at Criminal Court A. Judge Roosevelt Willie is still reading through all of the witnesses' testimonies, and he is, from reading these testimonies, there's a possibility, according to what we've been told, that the judge could drop the verdict of the jurors or uphold the jurors' verdict as well. But as it stands, the jurors, 11 out of 12, did come down with a guilty verdict against the former Chief Justice, Councillor Flora Mususkat, and 3 other co-defendants. So they're still reading through the witnesses' testimonies. Okay. So, folks, please keep giving us your feedbacks on the audio quality. That is something we want to be at top notch today. So we'll be asking you always to keep reminding us if there is a decline in the quality of the audio. We want you to kindly keep letting us know in real time what's the audio quality like, so that we can make sure that this broadcast is not interrupted by poor audio quality. So please keep us informed. Please keep us informed, on the status of the audio. No new updates as of yet. We should let you know that from Criminal Court A. No new updates, and we haven't gotten updates from the Supreme Court of Liberia. Once we do, we are going to keep you in the loop. We are going to keep you informed. All right. So thank you for your comments. Midfield Deco says the sound is good except for just minor grinding. We appreciate that. Yes. So just keep giving us your feedbacks. More updates we trying to provide to you from Criminal Court A and also from the Supreme Court. Once the proceeding gets underway, we will be providing you real-time updates from the chambers of the Honorable Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. The fate of Councillor Gloria Musu Scott and three other co-defendants is lying in limbo at this moment. As to how long they will be sentenced is also a question that will be answered most likely today. The delay in the sentencing is due to the reading of the entire case, the witnesses' accounts, and then the judge, His Honor Roosevelt Willie, will then give his final judgment. After rendering his final judgment, next will be the sentencing of a lady who at one point in time presided over the entire justice system in this country, serving as Chief Justice, presided as Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia when she served as Justice Minister, served as well at the Senate as Senator of Maryland County. So she has served in all three branches of government at the highest levels. At the executive, she served as a minister, Justice Minister, one of the highest ranking ministers in the country. She then served as senator, uh, which is a higher branch in the legislature from the representative. The Senate is higher in terms of respect, though the legislature on both counts are respected, but the Senate is considered as the upper house here in Liberia. We have a bicameral legislature in Liberia. She served as a senator. And then at the judicial branch of government, she served as Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, serving at the highest office in the judiciary here in our country. Today, as she has been for the past 6 to 8 months, she's been a subject of the very branch of government she once presided over. South Beach is definitely going to be the final destination, but the question is how long. And the defense lawyers, as we spoke to them, one of them said, look, the constant delays, especially what happened on last week Tuesday, where the probation office couldn't even come up with the pre-sentencing requirements like their report. He said that was in a way hampering and keeping their clients in jail for a longer period, because once that is done and the sentence, then the defense can take an appeal. But because there was a delay in that process, the Justice Minister was held in contempt by the judge of Criminal Court A, as well as the probation office was also held in contempt. But today, we are going to find out what will their sentences be. The reading of the ruling continues. We will restart this broadcast.